Hey everybody, welcome to the live stream. I'm back finally. We had a little bit of a vacation. We got some outdoor fun going. We did some hiking and biking in the Eastern Sierras last week, so couldn't live stream, but it was a nice little vacation. So, but I'm glad to be back in the shop, of course. So today we're going to be turning one of the Lotus pod blanks that we made. So Steve and Daniel sent in the box of all kinds of casted faux goodies. And he had some Lotus pods, and so we cast kind of like a handle blank. I don't know which way exactly this went, like kind of like that. And we put two of those Lotus pods in there, and we got a couple of kind of longer, you could make a bottle stopper out of this, but you could make a shift knob probably. But I was thinking, let's make a bottle opener. So I have some of the Stainless Bottle Stoppers brand bottle openers. They actually have a couple of them. Where did I put the other ones? They got a couple different types, and it's kind of cool what they're offering. If you guys haven't seen this, if anybody hasn't, so they have kind of a normal, opener kind of thing, little bird's mouth type deal. It'll crack your beverage open. They also have one that has kind of this magnetic top, and it doesn't dent the top of the bottle cap. Which, for anybody that's actually thinking about saving the bottle cap for some reason, or maybe for people that are doing the bottle cap kind of pens, this one actually might be the way to go. Kind of doesn't mar it up. So anyway, I thought it'd be a pretty fun project. I'm really excited to see how these things turn out. I mean, really, there's all kinds of craziness going on in here. So we have two of them. And the first thing, so we're not doing casting today, but the first thing I'm going to let you guys choose. We got one that has a pink Lotus pod thing in it, same colors in both the blanks of the resin that I added, and then we have one that's kind of a teal color. I don't know if that's coming through, hopefully. The kind of teal, I'm looking at a screen and doing this, the teal thing in there is a Lotus pod on the corners. So I'll let you guys just kind of toss out which one would you rather see. I could go either way personally. So it might be kind of tough for you guys to pick, but that's what we're going to be doing today. So if you didn't see the video on Sunday, I'm very excited about it. I finally got that giant blank that we cast on the Easy Wood Tools Carl Jacobson Maker Day kind of thing. I got that turned up, and I got the video up on Sunday. So if you haven't seen it, it was a pretty awesome project. Doug sent in the wood. It was a big chunk of box elder burl. I didn't fully stabilize it. I just kind of soaked it in dyed pink cactus juice. And then we cast it with green and white pearl resin. And it was a big bucket thing. And so I turned it into a pedestal bowl, and I'm pretty excited about that. It's one of the, I would say that's probably the biggest thing that I've turned. I mean, it's not gigantic. It's not the biggest thing on the planet, I guess, when you compare it to other things. But it was a pretty big project. And I think you guys, you're voting on the colors. I had pink wood dust everywhere, literally everywhere in my shop. So it was a little dusty. That box elder burl, especially when you're using a negative rate carbide cutter, this was kind of a tough decision. I think that the wood, because it wasn't really fully stabilized, probably it would have been a better idea to go with a regular carbide insert or maybe just a normal cutting tool. But the problem was when you got to areas, there was a lot of areas where there was resin and wood, it would just, I actually did try a standard cutter. It would just tear out and like chip up the resin where I was at. So I just kind of decided I'm just going to go with the negative rake, deal with this kind of dust mess. So it was fun to turn though. It was a really cool project. So here's a link to that if anybody hasn't seen it, and make sure to share with your friends if you think someone would be interested in seeing that project come together. I didn't include the entire casting portion, but I did kind of put a little clip in of just kind of the dumping the resin in thing. And there's a link to the casting of the blank if you didn't see that either. It was a live stream. And it's for some people that don't really love the like 2-hour live streams. It was only an hour long total. And really the casting part, the meat and potatoes, is probably only like 20, 30, at the most like 30 minutes. So it's kind of the second half of that. So there's a link in that video if you want to check it out. So let's see who's here. Good to see you guys. I missed you last week, although I can't say that I would have given up the nice outdoorsy time that I had, but it was, you leave the shop and you don't do what you're normally doing, see the people that you normally see, and you miss everybody, you know. So we got Dominic, he was here first, and Dave, thank you for the super chat, I appreciate it. And let's see here, Jim's here, and I saw Marie's here. Chris is here, cool. Ann's here. Mike McEwen, what's up? Jacob's here. Good to see you. Actually, Jacob is supporting the show over on Patreon, and he just upped his pledge to way above the highest level, so I appreciate it. Thanks, Jacob. Let's see. I'm not sure how to say that. Pot Geiter? Wood turning? That's a tough one right there. So hopefully I said that right. Welcome, and Doug's here, of course. Thank you for the box elder burl. It turned into a fabulous, awesome project. And again, thank you to Doug for the inspiration on that pedestal bowl. I was looking at this huge bucket blank, and I was like, there was two ideas that I had. I was either going to make it kind of bucket shaped, like really keep a lot of that stuff intact. But I was looking at some of Doug's projects. I thought, let me see what Doug's made. He does a lot of this kind of thing. And I saw quite a few of the pedestal bowl shape, and I was like, oh, that's cool. You'll be able to use, all of this blank and get in, get some curves in there and stuff, and really make that kind of those areas where the resin and wood meet kind of interesting with the curves. So thank you for the inspiration on that. You did. Nice. Sweet. Let's see. Yeah, the Pepto wood spray. it was nuts. I have a black lathe, and it was pink. It was a pink Laguna. Actually, I'll show you guys. There's still pink stuff all over the place in the corner, like on my dust collector and fans. And the funny thing is, someone was like, "Oh, why didn't you use dust collection?" I had it going the whole time. I had a box fan with a filter, like I have paint, like a paint spray booth filter on front of a box fan, and I was kind of behind it, sorta. And I had a fan behind me. Plus, I had my dust collector going with the big hood, and it didn't do anything. Because the problem is, you can't dust collect yourself, because that's where it was spraying at. It was just kind of coming right at my face and over my shoulder, and my whole toolbox behind me was covered. And I think the problem is the fans end up moving it everywhere in your shop anyway, and it's fine dust. So I was wearing a respirator, or a face mask, though, the whole time. So and John's here, and let's see here. Lots of people. Klondike, Jay Brown. Ah, that's awesome. I'm glad that I could kind of help stoke the fire. That's cool. Any tips on what woods bond better to resin? Well, I don't know that there's really any. Some people can make the claim that you might get a better bond with resin. I don't know that it matters. Really, I think the big thing with bonding to resin is, you don't want any like surface contaminants on there. And even like the cured cactus juice, if you leave it on the surface, you want to kind of like hit it with a wire brush, because it can actually, I would say, it could kind of possibly deteriorate the bond. But the big thing is resins don't like smooth surfaces. So as long as, the wood is not, super smooth, and you haven't put something like smooth like that on it, then I think the bond's fine. The biggest deal that I think with stabilizing is the moisture issue with resin casting. You don't want any moisture, so for me it's a lot smarter just to stabilize it fully. That way it's not going to ever absorb a bunch of moisture. You might need to flash it off if there's any surface moisture, but it's not going to absorb it into the cellular structure. So that's the biggest reason. The big reason why you would stabilize is just if the wood is super soft and punky, which I have to be honest, that box elder was pretty punky wood, or it was just, it was prone to tearing out, and there was it was pretty soft to begin with. I soaked that piece in cactus juice, but I wouldn't call it stabilized. It really wasn't fully stabilized. So I still had some kind of tear out issues here and there. But that's the biggest thing is hardening, stiffening the wood fibers, I think. And then the moisture thing. The other little kind of added benefit to resin casting is if a lot of woods are just in general softer. They may not be tough to turn or, tear out prone or anything like that, but they're a little bit softer than the resin part, which can kind of like when you're sanding, like if you cast pine, it's super soft, and then there's hard resin. And so if you're sanding, the wood's going to sand a lot faster than the resin. And even when you're cutting it, it's weird kind of feeling. So that's one of the things. You're just kind of equalizing that hardness in it. So hopefully that helps out. I don't know. Chris, what's up, man? Nice. Got your blanks. Just need to get your lathe. Oh man, that's awesome. I'm waiting for a drill press. I don't know. I ordered it like 3 weeks ago at this point. I finally decided to pull the trigger and get one of those Nova drill presses. And so I went up to Reno, ordered one. I was going to buy it from Chad, but he's not a distributor. So unfortunately, and they never got back to him to facilitate a sale. So I ended up just going, there's a store in Reno, and I don't know. I haven't heard yet what's going on. So I don't like, it's the worst when you're waiting for a new tool, especially when you got things to do with it. So let's see here. Oh, Jappy? JP or Jappy? All these words I can't say. Utah Paracord and Supplies. Thanks, man. All right, so let me scroll up. I know that you guys were tossing out colors. So we got blue, pink. We only had a couple of them here. We have one blue, one pink that I'm seeing. So it's up in the air. Did I miss anything? Sorry, I'm trying to read to catch up with you guys. I was talking all this whole time. So ordered a vacuum chamber. Nice. Yeah, it's the worst when you're waiting. It's not very fun. You're like, I want to get on this. Art's in the house. What's up, man? Where did I purchase the wine stopper pieces? Good question. Pretty sure that Turner's Warehouse has all that stuff. I was going to go get a link. I actually got those sent to me from Stainless Bottle Stoppers, which you can purchase from stainlessbottlestoppers.com. But I'm pretty sure that Turner's has them as well. Yeah, stainless. Let's see here. And so I'll try to remember to put a link in the show notes as well for later on. I know we're kind of dragging out the beginning of this, and I apologize. I was on vacation last week, so I had to get you guys caught up. So hold on real quick. I'm going to go get my my link. I'm an affiliate of Turner's Warehouse, so if you use my link, I will get a little kickback. Chad has graciously done that, set up that program. So here's a link, and it's got my little reference code in there. It doesn't cost you anything. It's nice. It just tells Chad that I sent you over there. Let me just double check. Yeah, so there's the bottle openers. They have stoppers and all the other stuff that Stainless Bottle Stoppers brand sells as well at Turner's Warehouse. Like I said, that link just tells Chad that I sent you over, and then he gives me a little bit of a bonus for that, for anything you order. So it's pretty cool. Hodgepodge is from Houston. I bet it's hot there. Oh man, it's pretty warm here. Although the temperature's not as hot today, it's like humid and rainy. So now I can't handle any humidity. There's probably like 30% humidity, and I'm like drenched in sweat. But anyway, yeah, I'm pretty sure everything's canceled this year. I don't know of anything that's going on, and frankly, you got to kind of say who's going to be showing up in mass to an event probably this year. So let's see, baby blue. We got another blue. We got a blue. Okay, so we're doing the blue, it looks like. And it's pretty cool. It's like kind of a turquoisey type thing. So let's do that one. So let's get this thing rolling. I've talked way too much, obviously, guys. So here we go. Let's switch views. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck this guy up. And we are going to flatten this front face. That'll give us a nice square edge so that when we, number one, mount the blank on the mandrel, which this is also another actual, this is like brought to you by Stainless Bottle Stoppers, but pretty cool little system they have here. They have these mandrels. Let me get this little doohickey off of here. I'll kind of show you what's happening with these things. I got to double check and make sure that I'm using the right one, but they got these universal stopper mandrels, and they have, it's kind of like the same idea, bushings, kind of like for pen blanks or pen turning. I'm just going to pull out my, I don't know for certain about this. What these little mandrels what these little bushings do is they're going to be the same diameter as the kit piece. So it's kind of the same idea as like a pen kit. So I'm just going to double check. I'm pretty sure these are the same as their stoppers. So we're looking at 805. Yeah. So I think I'm pretty sure this is the right sleeve. They got all kinds of different sizes depending on, like if you're doing an ice cream scoop kit or, lots of the different hardwares out there. They got a little sleeve bushing that will show you where you want to turn it down to. And this mounts it so you can turn it on there. And so the way that I'm going to do this, I would probably, I don't know, in most cases, I would probably recommend going with the inserts. So they make these little knurled insert things that are the right thread for both your mandrel and for the actual kit thing. You would drill out a 1/2 inch hole and then glue this in there. The problem is I didn't think about it in time. And so what I'm going to do is we're just going to drill and tap threads into the piece, but there are some decent arguments for using inserts instead of doing that. Your threads are never going to wear out. I've never had that problem, but you could damage the threads if you're taking it on and off or doing something. So not a bad way to go gluing it in, but I didn't do it. So it is an option at least. And I would also say, especially for a piece that you do not want to wash in the dishwasher or anything like that, that's a good reason to have that little brass insert thing. And if you're taking it in and out all the time, not a bad idea to have the insert. All right, so first thing, like I said, I didn't do this right. Let me look at this real quick. I'm going to look and see if it matters which way we are going about this. I don't think it's really going to matter. But I've already squared this on the table saw, so I'm actually going to put that side into the chuck because I know that at least is pretty much square to the blank. And then we'll flatten, square up this edge. It was just out of the mold, basically. So here we go. Let's get the camera in here a little bit better. Let me get my camera plugged in. I plugged the plug in and then I didn't plug the cord into the camera, so that's obviously not helping me much. Oh, where are we at here? Oh, and actually before we start, here's my dust collector with pink everywhere, and there's pink stuff, and over here and back over there, everywhere. Oh my God. Still got pink dust, and I've already cleaned the shop 3 times. It can be a dusty mess some days. So I'm going to be using, I have a 1-inch, let me just double check and make sure that's what this is. 1-inch Forstner bit. This is by far the quickest and easiest way to just square up that end. Let me get the chat rolling here so that I can see you guys. Oh, there I am. Finally paid for YouTube Premium, so I never have to listen to ads again. I'm super excited. It's awesome. This is not going to be a pen, Chad. I was talking about this system. It's similar to how pen turning and bushings work. You weren't awake? Oh, man. Yeah, I don't have AC. Eventually, I don't know. The problem is I could pay for AC right now. I could enclose at least the casting area in my shop, right? And I seriously have considered doing this a lot of times, and it would help me because resin casting, I would really like to control the temperature when I'm casting. It would be a very significant benefit considering my business is making pen blanks. So if I can control the environment like that, it's going to make things so much easier for me and just, ensure that the product is always consistent. But which it is, and the problem is it is 3/4 of the year. It's extremely consistent here. It's about 70 usually, but in the summer it goes up to about 80, 85. And whatever, and it's kind of hot. So, but The problem is it's going to cost like $2,000 to just enclose a part of my shop and then get AC. I mean, it might end up costing more than that. And I don't necessarily plan to stay here forever. This is my dad's shop. I'd like to move out of here sooner than later and get into my own shop. The problem is the housing market sucks. It's super expensive here. And so I haven't been able to. Oops. I got to quit talking and think about what I'm doing here. So we got a little flat on there. That's good. Next, we're going to drill it out. And I always forget, this is a 5/16. It's like a little stubby bit that you can get. You can get these things. I think Turner's Warehouse has them. Stainless Bottle Stoppers sells them. It's probably part of a kit or something on Turner's Warehouse. I do kind of like the little stubbies for drilling holes like this. And I've marked on it how deep I need to go. That way I make sure I drill it the whole way far enough for both the the tap to tap threads into it, as well as that it'll be deep enough for the hardware in the end and for the mandrel. In this case, you're better off just, there's no reason to make it like perfectly, specifically deep. I can go a little deeper and everything's going to be fine. So then come and we'll take our tap. Now, I think the proper way to do this is to have one of those, well, actually, this thing's not even set up for that, but I think there's possibly slightly better ways to do this. I just stick it in my drill chuck all the way. I bury it, and it works fine. And what I'm doing is I'm putting a little pressure on the tailstock. It's not locked though, so let me back up a little bit. For anybody that hasn't ever tapped threads like this, let's see if I can get probably maybe a slight angle. Might be better. Hopefully that'll kind of work. So what I'm doing is the tailstock's free, so I'm just pushing. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure on it, and then I'm going to be spinning the blank. All right, so I want to add a little bit of pressure because it's going to be tapping threads, and it's going to be pulling the tailstock in as it taps the threads. And I'm turning the piece with my other hand. So now we'll kind of get you back in here, and you can kind of see I got cords everywhere. Hold on, guys. Tripping. And then what I do is a few turns in, and then I back it out to kind of clear the chips a bit. So and I'm using a bottoming tap. That way it can kind of get all the way down in there and give me threads all the way full depth. I'm just kind of working it though, but I've never really had a problem with Alumilite, just tapping threads in Alumilite or epoxy. Oops. So sometimes it can kind of loosen up on me. This is a hand tighten drill chuck. But I've never had any problems just tapping directly into straight Alumilite or epoxy. It always works fine. All right, so now I'm going to push a little bit back this thing up. Man, I'm sweating. Whew. Hoo-wee! It's summertime. There we go. And then clean out the threads, and now we're good to go. So in a pinch, this is a much quicker, let's just double check and make sure our hardware fits. It's a much easier and quicker way to do this than waiting on 5-minute epoxy to cure. And realistically, I would kind of, you can't just wait 5 minutes. Like, you got to let that 5-minute epoxy cure up so that it doesn't move on you when you're turning. So let's get our mandrel. It has I got a little washer in there that just, I don't know what that does exactly, but it helps out, I guess. Makes it probably easier to get off, maybe. I don't know. Gives me a little space. So we're done with the chuck. What am I doing here? I'm gonna turn for a while. I haven't done a stopper or, you know, anything like this, stopper or opener or whatever for a while. Okay, it's looking good. I'm going to use the, let's see here. So I just got some new tools from Easywood Tools that I have been kind of wanting to try out. So I finally got a square, one of the big hoggers, and I've been finding that just hitting, you know, tilting it on an angle and going across with the negative rake cutters is a really good way to go. So and I was talking to Chad over at Turner's Warehouse, and he's like, yeah, I knock corners off with the big handled Easywood tool and just kind of, you know, with the square tip and just go for it. So I thought I'm going to give that a shot. So I got one of the big tools. This is a standard cutter. All I'm doing is using it for what it's for, roughing. And the reason that I don't really do it with the other ones is they're a little lighter. You know, this is a little bit more substantial, bigger bar, bigger handle. And so I'm gonna kind of, let's look and see, because I had been, you know, pulling out a gouge to do this, and I don't even really think that that's fully necessary. But what I don't like doing is holding, you know, like a square or round cutter flat on you know, to knock over corners. I do find that just tilting it sideways, it's just presenting a little bit less area, you know, surface contact area, and it just works a little bit easier. So I haven't tried this with a standard cutter yet, though. So we'll have to kind of see how this goes. In the past, I have gotten, this is many years ago when I even did this, I sometimes would get catches. So I just want to kind of see, you know, how does this really work? And compare it to, you know, my previous history. I understand a little bit more about how carbide tools work, I would say, at this point. So I'm not anticipating any serious problems. But, you know, it's also a comfort thing. Whatever's most comfortable for you is really the way to go with all this kind of stuff. All right, so let's turn this up. I'm a little high. You want to come in at the middle. I didn't think about that. I was approaching the blank a little bit high up there, so I'm actually going to drop this down a little bit further and come in. Now this is probably going to chip a little bit, but I think if I can get this cutter hitting at the right spot, it's a little bit catchy. Yeah, it's a little catchy. Let me switch to the negative rake cutter. I got a couple catches in there. So let me switch to negative rake. I got the big negative rake for this, and I have a feeling that that's going to tame the catchiness. So this is the CI1R2 negative rake. So let's give this guy a shot. See what happens. I don't even know what size Allen wrench this thing uses. Now, with better technique, this might not be as big a deal. I don't claim to be the best turner out there, but again, it comes down to what you're comfortable with, and that's not really working for me. So let's try something else real quick. And it kind of puts you can put the tool in a position that's a little bit more comfortable than just holding it flat. Is kind of what I like about this. It's definitely been working with the smaller tools. So let's give this guy a shot. So we got the negative rake guy on there. I'm spinning it about 2,800, pretty fast. So let's give this a shot. Yep, no catches, as I thought. I'm actually going to bring the camera on this side. You guys could see and hear those kind of the catchiness that I was getting. So I'm going to bring it over here so you can kind of see what the tool's doing a little bit more. But I definitely like this, the negative rake. I mean, you can be aggressive with it and it's not catching. I like it. And it's not chipping either. I don't know if you guys can see this. This is, I'm telling you, when they came out with these negative rake cutters, I was like, this is a total game changer. And they came through, you know. Look at that. The surface is perfect. There's a couple, see these, this is where I got that catch, but everywhere around it that I'm taking off is nice and smooth with the negative rake cutters. So I love them. I'm telling you, they make life easy when you're turning resin. Because they just knock down that aggressiveness. They're just not that aggressive. And that way you don't have to be super aggressive, you know, while you're turning. Give you guys the Crocs and Socks view. All right, so let's get this thing, and then once we get this thing rounded, once we knock the corners off, then I'm going to switch to the smaller, probably just a regular round cutter, probably the CI3. I didn't have the viewfinder at me. Make sure I'm on camera. So just switch to that so we can do a little shaping and have some fun. Another tool that I got that we'll see if I want to put any details in here, but I just got this tool also. And I want to put the negative rake cutter on that, and maybe we'll do a little detailing with that one. It's a little different. I have the other detailer already. Nope, I did get a chip there. Oh, my cutter came loose, that's why. Gotta tighten your cutters, guys. See this? I'll give it a little, I usually don't tighten these down too much. I'm gonna give it a little extra torque this time because it's kind of torquing it. There we go. So that's actually something to think about. If you're getting some weird shatter, chipping, you know, make sure that your cutter's not flopping around. That could be the problem. We're getting there, we're getting there. I think I'm actually going to raise this just a hair. I think I might be a little bit under where I really need to be. You want to still be, even though I got this tilted, I want to be coming in around the midpoint of the blank for the best cut. Whew, I actually took a big chunk out. Luckily it's on this side. So I don't know, I'm on the fence if I really want to. I don't know, I've been pretty aggressive with this. But I did get a few chips. Let me turn a fan on. kind of smelling. If I can smell the dust, obviously it's getting me. So I don't want to put a mask on today. So if I just turn a fan on, it'll keep it away from my face. So we're just about there at this point. It's pretty much round. So I'm going to switch down to the CI3 to do the shaping. This is usually kind of my favorite. I like the number 1 hollower the best, I think, especially for like bigger projects. But it's kind of a big tool for doing something kind of this small. So the CI3, the normal one, a lot of people ask like which ones should I get, or which tool carbide if you're thinking about picking some up, and this is probably the most useful. You know, you can use this for just about anything. Pen turning, you could do big projects. It's just a little bit more, the number 1 hollower just has a smaller cutter, you know, and a bigger handle, but you can do a ton of stuff with this size tool. And this is the mini size, not very long, but it's a very versatile tool. I think out of all the ones that they have, if you want something that'll kind of do everything, this one will do it. And you can even get, you know, there's different lengths of handles, but you know, this cutter, the round CI3, probably the most versatile cutter that they make. So I'm just trying to, I want to make sure that I'm coming in at the middle. And at this point, I'm going to switch over to doing this flat mostly. So we're making okay, so I got to stop this. I got to think about what we're doing here. So this is going to be a bottle opener. And I'm trying to think, I don't know if I need to do anything special. I think what I might do is just kind of scallop it, sort of, you know, like make kind of a wavy edge. Just so, you know, you can hold it when you're cracking. You know, just kind of put some little finger indents, maybe 3 of them. I don't know. You can just kind of have fun with this. Anything will go. Turners never make mistakes. They just make smaller bowls. That's funny. I always make mistakes. I'm good at it. Luckily, for the most part, I don't usually make like game-ending mistakes, you know? That's always the worst. So first thing I want to do though is I need to bring this thing down. So again, kind of talking about, for anybody that doesn't really understand what I was saying about the bushings, this side is where, you know, our actual hardware is going to go. And so what I want to do is I want to bring this, taper this down. And luckily I had that chip out. I don't know, you guys can see these chips, right? These are some pretty serious chunks. And I think it's just because, you know, it's not fully supported on this end. And I was doing, you know, kind of being aggressive, but I did get a couple little chips here. Luckily that's on this end, which needs, I want it to come down to meet, you know, this part. So I'm going to turn it away. So again, like I was saying, I made a mistake kind of, but it's not going to kill the project because I got lucky. All right, so in 2 seconds, I got rid of those chips. Almost have it down to the bushing now. So I'm gonna get this camera kind of situated a little bit better for you guys so you can kind of see stuff everywhere right here. Jeez. Get out of the way, lights. Come on. So hold on, bear with me. Oh, I don't know what I just did. Did something. Bear with me for 1 second. We'll just kind of drop you down as an overhead view here. I think that's pretty well situated. So now you can kind of see what I'm doing. Crocs and socks, baby. Woo! This is a new cutter, so it's cutting like butter. I mean, look at these shavings. These are not like, a lot of people say that like resin turning is I don't know, messier or whatever. I mean, yeah, there's lots of ribbons and stuff, but compared to that dust, that pink dust that was everywhere, I'll take ribbons any day. You know, and they're coming off, you know, like you're shearing it. It's full on ribbons. So, I don't know. Resin turning's fun. I like it. I think it's good stuff. Uh-oh, uh-oh. There it goes. There it goes. Oh! This is what I like about my air hose. I don't know why my shop gets messy. You just blow it all over the place. I need a light because I can't really see exactly what I'm doing. I want to make sure that I'm getting that, you know, even with that. So this is where I want to get this even with the bushing here. I want this to be the same diameter basically as this bushing. It's going to kind of come down and meet that. So I know it's kind of, well, actually I think the camera's doing a decent job. This is a super high powered light, but from my vantage point, it gives me really a good view. Kind of blows the camera out though. All right, I'd say that's pretty good. We can touch it up a little bit more later if we wanted. And so again, what I'm thinking is that, you know, if you're going to grab a bottle opener, I'm trying to think how this will work, but you know, you'll kind of crack it like this. So hold it like this. So I'm just going to put, you know, 3 kind of little scallopy things. It's going to be probably a fairly substantial, I'm not necessarily going to turn a lot of it away, but put a few of these little scallops in for kind of finger holds. I am gonna take the diameter down just a little bit more. Probably somewhere around in that area. Let's do a little bit of fixing of the camera here. I gotta get behind the camera, hold on. All the movements are like backwards. So, yeah, that's pretty middle, right? I think we're in the middle now. And I could have turned on my dust collector, that would have helped a little bit of this, but whatever. I'm going to get this a little bit closer. All right, so now we got it perfectly round. Let's take a look at this thing. Oh, sorry guys. Sorry about that. Let's take a look and see what's coming out of here. So we still got a little bit of this kind of, that's kind of popping through. We got some here. I think we do need to take it down a little bit further and kind of expose more of that lotus pod. Yeah. I think this is definitely going to be a good blank to add curvature you know, within the roundness of it anyway. So those little kind of finger holds are going to be kind of cool, I think. You don't want like a spiky thing in the middle of these little coves. You want it to be nice and rounded over. So I'm just kind of winging it at this point, you know. I think I might make this a little bit bigger. All right, so let me give this a try here. Yeah, it's not too bad. I might actually take this down a little bit. We don't really need a hump there. All right, so let's try this out. Yeah, that's not bad. I like that. So we got one more little kind of hump. Okay, let's see what we got here. Oh yeah. That's not too bad right there. Kind of like that. All right. So let's see. Let's take a peek at this thing. I'm going to zoom you guys in a little bit. And let's see what we got going on here. A little bit of, I can feel some sort of a bump there. I don't know what that is. A little bit of an air pit maybe. Something. Kind of fill that with some CA. Very minor though. But overall, I'm pretty much digging this. I mean, I'm pretty well satisfied. I'm gonna do a little touch up on this end, try and smooth that out, so I don't have to sand as much. But I mean, overall, this thing's looking pretty good. What do you guys think? Kind of an interesting idea. Get a beading tool? Yeah, but there's no beading tool that's that big, you know. beating is very, very small, if I'm understanding correctly. What RPM am I at? Let's see here. I got it at, I don't know. I wasn't even looking. It's high. It's going like 2,600, 28. For something that's contained like this, you can go pretty fast, you know, but you don't necessarily need to go super, super fast or anything. Hold on a minute. Let me find where's the, oh, I guess I have to mute on my volume button. In some cases, you know, you may be turning certain things too slow. If you're turning like pens, then regardless of what lathe you have, turn it all the way up. I would say you'll kind of get better cuts with it. But if things are getting too wide, and you're, you know, like for bowls, like you're not going to turn a bowl that's like 12-inch diameter at 3,000 RPMs. That's just, it's too fast. But for smaller things like this, you know, you can pretty much go as fast as you're comfortable with. Winging it. Oh, I don't know about that, Melvin. But luckily, I think the thing is I have a lot of experience just kind of winging it, so it works out usually. And, you know, a lot of things that I do, I have some experience turning things like this anyway, so it's not that, you know, I'm kind of winging it, but whatever. When it gets into things like you don't see me turning lidded boxes on a live stream because there's steps involved. I haven't turned enough of those, and it would probably go awry really quick if I'm not really paying attention. But things like this, pens and stoppers and, you know, these types of deals, even bowls for the most part, the type that I turn, there's not a lot going on, so I can kind of wing a lot of it. I'm really digging this blank though. This is, man, you guys picked some wicked colors on this. And then the little Lotus pod. Now, keep in mind also, according to Steven, there's glow powder in this, in his thing that he gave us, in the Lotus pod itself. So that'll be kind of interesting too. All right, so I'm going to do a little touch up here. I just want to smooth this curve out just a little bit. Just want to make sure that, you know, I want to make it as smooth as possible so we don't have to do as much sanding. Or start at a, you know, you can start a little higher if you can kind of get that surface a little bit smoother. Now again, I am no expert at turning in general, so, you know, do your best, but always remember that you can sand it out. Some days I kind of just feel like I don't have enough control, you know, with the tool to get a surface that much better, and I just opt for a little bit more sanding sometimes, you know. The 80 grit smoother. Pull out the 80 grit smoother and you're good. All right, so I think that's pretty good. That's as good as I'm probably gonna get it. Now, if you're really good with, you know, detail gouges and all these kind of things, and you can leave a really, really perfect surface, then I mean, that's the best way to go. But that takes quite a bit of talent, usually, I find, and you know, experience. But with the new cutter, I mean, this surface is looking, it feels great. You know, this is quite nice. You can see some lines here and there, but they should come out pretty easily with probably about a 240 grit or something, in very little time. All right, so I'm going to take off the tailstock at this point. I'm going to do a little bit of work on this end over here. Oh, my banjo's hitting the tripod. Sorry about that. this tool rest situated so I'm hitting the middle. Scoot down here. Talent you don't have? Oh, I've seen your work. Are you kidding me? You got talent. You got as much talent as I do. Yeah, I don't like... I'm kind of in the same position as a lot of you guys. It's not an hour each way, but for me, I would have to drive half an hour to Reno to buy tools. And so I buy most of my stuff online. The other problem is I live half an hour the opposite direction from the shop. So if I was going to Reno to get tools from my house, that is an hour both ways. Late to the game, but you still made it in time. Welcome, Nancy. So we're doing a bottle opener. I got this, I got one of these, I don't know which way, well, in the end I can go either way, we can switch them out, but we got these bottle opener kit things from Stainless Bottle Stoppers. This one's the non-mar, you know, so it doesn't mar the cap when you open it. This is just kind of a normal bird's mouth type. So I got one of those, a couple of those things, and this is that blank that has the Lotus pods that Steven cast for us. I thought let's just make a bottle opener. I want to see kind of what this thing looks like, and I thought it was kind of a little bit longer blank for just a bottle stopper. So I thought, I got a couple of these bottle opener kits. Let's see what happens. So I've got it kind of set up. I wanted to put a little bit of like contouring in, because I'm thinking like you're gonna, you know, hold it like this and, you know, crack your drink open. So we got everything done, and I'm really happy. It feels just absolutely smooth right now. But I need to come, we got a little indentation, a little pinhole thing from the live center, and I just want to kind of bring this around the corner, smooth it up, and then we're on like kind of the home stretch basically. So, and I'm going to switch the camera view so you're not just straight over this thing. So hold on real quick. Don't look at the screen. You'll get seasick. While I adjust this thing here. Sorry about that. That was not smooth. They don't call me smooth operator for nothing. All right, that ought to be a pretty good view. Let me turn my little viewfinder around. That's where I get in trouble. I accidentally hit stuff that's on the screen when I flip it around and walk away. I didn't notice, and oh man, it's over. Ray's here. What's up, man? Dancy Pants. I like that. I do have a Harbor Freight, but Harbor Freight, although I will say I actually just went there yesterday to pick up blast media for my sandblaster. I haven't yet been able to get it to work awesomely, but I am hoping that I bought the Harbor Freight sandblaster cabinet thing, but I am hoping that what I plan to use it for, I don't really have an awesome use need, you know, for a sandblaster. However, what I've been thinking is maybe that'll be a good way to get bark off of burl prior to stabilizing it. Hasn't exactly panned out yet. I think the problem is our air system. We have a huge air compressor. It's like one of the 60-gallon 5 horsepower or whatever. You know, it's a monster. But the problem is we've plumbed a 4,000 square foot shop, and I think that it's an airflow like you know, CF. I'm not sure what the right. It's not like a PSI problem. It's a CFM issue. It's just not moving enough air for it to actually work right. So I'm still in the process of trying to figure out what's going on with that, but in theory it should work pretty well. Another thing that I actually want to try using it for is also for stabilizing. You know, sometimes you bake it and no matter what you do, you could have the temperature perfect, you've dried it off and everything you thought you did right, and you still get baked cactus juice on the outside, like on the tops of like a burl, on the peaks and all that stuff, and it's really a pain to get it off, you know. Short of like using a pick to get it out, and wire brushes and stuff. And so I'm thinking maybe, just sandblast it. That might be a good way to go. But you got to have a sandblaster that works. Trying to get that little, there we go. I'm a little low. Having trouble hitting the center. All right, that took forever. Oh, there's still a little pinprick, but it's looking pretty good. I like that. A little bit of chatter. I'm just going to kind of give this a quick squeeze and tighten it just to make sure it's on there as tight as possible, and then I'm going to take a little bit lighter cut. Feels like I've got kind of an indentation at this point. Yeah, I do. This thing's kind of elusive, sneaking up on this. There we go. I think I got that pretty well flat. For anybody that's kind of new to turning, if you didn't know, an easy way to check how flat it is. Now I've got kind of a dish going on, which is kind of what I want. But hold your straight edge up, and you can see if you've gotten this flat. This is important if you're trying to get something dead flat that's gonna like have to rest in your chuck jaws or something. You don't want it to be rounded over. You want it to be flat. Same goes for like the bottom of a bowl or something like that. You would actually want it to be where the outsides are, maybe even have it a little concave. Just grab a little ruler. A lot of times you can just use your tool bar. Sometimes though, these things can get bent, so I don't necessarily rely on them. I'll go and grab myself a straight edge of some sort. So just a little, I think for 99% of you guys, you're like, yeah, I know. But you might not have thought of that. What's a simple way to test for flatness while you're turning? Especially, that's kind of an obvious thing for me because before I got into turning, because I came from woodworking, which you use straight edges and stuff. I've done things like that in similar situations a lot. But if you're really new to turning and don't really have that kind of background, then that might be a useful tip. Could be. You never know. All right, I think this thing's looking pretty good. I'm going to try and give it one more little, you know the quote. I'm going to give it one more pass. I have faith. Just to try and take off and get this thing, the tool marks and stuff, get them out as much as possible. And we'll drop down our speed and let's do a little bit of sanding, everybody's favorite. So if you guys, for everybody that did see the video, I went for Yorkshire grit. You guys probably were like, what? What are you doing? And it went okay. I think that I've still got some issues. I definitely got the outside of that bowl up to 400 grit. I made absolute sure. I literally, I even pulled out magnifying lenses. Where are they? Well, I don't know where I put them now. Thought I put them over here somewhere. But I had the magnifying lenses, and I was looking at this blank, and it was up to 400. And I think what happened was I'm still not applying Yorkshire grit correctly, because I think that the application actually put like sort of scratch burn marks in it, and so I'm not sold on the speeds that you're supposed to be doing with that, or possibly maybe it was the paper towel that I was using. I think that they recommend you use cotton, which would be softer. Paper towel could burnish it, but if that stuff, like, I don't know, like kind of hardens up and you're pressing hard on it and going really fast, you're going to put lines into your blank, I think, and something happened. It was kind of weird, but it did look pretty darn good, and it's a great option for, in that case, I had a blank, with wood in it that was not stabilized. And I didn't want to wet sand that. It really would have absorbed a lot of moisture. So wet sanding was out of the question. In that case, something like Yorkshire grit is a great option. Kind of the only option, in a sense. You don't really want to dry sand at those high grits. So I'm still trying to figure stuff out. I will say though, this inertia sander was really pretty nice. I really kind of had reservations about buying one, because most people that I've seen use them, I don't know, they use them like once or twice and they're like, yeah, I don't know, But I would say, I mean, there is a little bit of technique to it. You got to you actually really have to be very light-handed and just let it do the work, which I think could be advantageous to people like me who sometimes tend to press hard when you're sanding. So it kind of takes that tendency out of your hands in a sense. So. Oh yeah. I don't see, that's the thing. I don't know how hard I'm pressing. I guess that's in reality that, I've you guys know that I've always kind of been like, I don't know about this Yorkshire grit thing. If it's this hard to apply, like, what's the point? I know how to wet sand, That's why I'd rather just wet sand with a couple more grits, because I know how to do it already. It's not that difficult. But, it worked out okay. There are a few lines in there that you can see if you look at it, That's one of the reasons why I'm not like jumping, really jumping up and down to be like, oh, I'll sell it, it's for sale, because it's okay. The finish, it's not definitely not my best finish on there. But that's the thing though. I mean, finishing resin is hard. It is really hard to get a perfect finish on resin blanks, I think. Like, absolutely, completely no flaws whatsoever is what I'm saying. It's you gotta put a good amount of time in, especially on a big project. It becomes harder. But other than that, like I said, there's still things where I don't think that I'm doing it correctly. I could improve with Yorkshire grit or any of those types of things. But overall, you guys saw the video. It looks good, like it looks pretty darn good. So let's see. Honestly, I'm going to start sanding at 400, because I think that I did quite a good job on this, getting it smooth. So I'll quit talking about Yorkshire grit. Uh-oh. It's been raining and probably thundering, so if we lose power, guys, if I go black, that's what happened. What am I doing? I want some silicone. Oh, I need to go get water, guys. I need to fill my water cup. I'll be right back. Okay, we got some water. Let's do a little bit of wet sanding. So I'm going to start at 400 grit. I'm just going to, I think I'm going to open my little bucket here. Oh, I didn't realize I had a bunch of sandpaper in here. I need another bucket. That's what I really need. I guess that works. That's okay. And I'm going to get some, let's see, let's just go with some Abranet today. I haven't done that actually wet sanded with it for a while, quite a while now. Let's see what we can do here. Quick question, how long did it take you to rid my shop of the paint? I still haven't ridded, it still isn't gone, Nancy. Not totally. I'm gonna pan around here. So I got to turn my viewfinder back towards me so I can see what I'm pointing at. But look at all this stuff over here. Look at the top of my light up there. It's still everywhere. I just cleaned off the main surfaces. It was a pretty dusty project. The problem was it was a big blank, and it's not like you can really get dust collection in. Like I would have had to put the dust collector like right here for it to get the majority, and it still probably would have blown the other way. But so I just put a mask on and figured I'm just going to be cleaning for a little while. And I dropped my Abranet. Here we go. Here we go. So I'm going to spin this probably around like 500 RPMs maybe, something like that. Get this a little bit wet. Maybe a little slower than that, like 300. You don't need to, you don't need to sand fast. In fact, that's kind of, you really don't want to. Faster you sand, the more problems you're going to have. And you're generally better off using, some sort of a lubricant. Water is one of the easiest. You could use like, oils or waxes or other things, but I think water's kind of what most people use. I'm going to reverse. This is one of the nice things if you have a lathe that goes in reverse. Sometimes it's much easier to spin it one way or the other when you're sanding. So let's see what you guys are talking about here. What was this controversy? Yeah, Eric, that bowl was pretty awesome. It was fun. It was easy to turn too. I mean, that's one of the things. Like, there's a little bit of the casting part. It's a lot of resin. And like with moisture issues and things, there's some things that can go wrong. And you guys saw that there was a crack in there, which, is not caused by too much resin. I don't know what that was. It might have been, what I'm thinking it was, is I just kind of soaked that blank in cactus juice, and I'm thinking that there was a big chunk of hardened cactus juice, which is kind of a brittle, crunchy, if you had a big mass of it that had just, cured up in a ball or whatever, inside that kind of groove in the middle of the piece of wood, I think that's what happened. Is there's just a bunch of cactus juice, and I ended up getting a crack there when the resin cured around it. Maybe, or or there was some sort of weird contaminant in that channel. I couldn't clean it out really, or I just didn't do enough to clean it out. So, but maybe there was some sort of weird moisture thing. But so I mean, no matter what, you could run into some issues. But mostly, the casting part wasn't really that hard as long as you keep moisture out of there. And then the turning part, it did take longer than a pen or something, but I mean, it seemed like it took a little bit of time for me to get that finished, but the truth was I just didn't work on it for long enough periods of time. I would work on it for like an hour, and then I'd have to do a bunch of other work in the shop, and then the next day would come, and then, so it seemed like it took me forever to get that thing turned. But I mean, you could easily, I think if you were really proficient, you could easily turn that in a day. If you're not really messing around or anything. All right, so I'm gonna look at this thing. I always run into problems when I don't really inspect things very well. And this is kind of a tough one because I really do believe that for plastics, which, resins, I think you're really better off, sanding in one direction and then sanding in the opposite direction. This is really kind of hard to sand this way, so I'm just not going to do that this time. But I do think that it just kind of makes sense. It's a solid surface, and it's just, you're kind of putting a cross pattern of scratches in there. But I think this is pretty good. I don't know. Thinking that's looking pretty good. I'm just going to polish this, so I don't even think I'm going to mess around. There was like a really tiny pit, but I think we're just going to move forward. It's not even noticeable. You could fill it if you wanted, though. So we got 400, and then I'm just going to switch to silicon carbide 600 real quick. Just the wet dry sandpaper. Where's my little... That's weird. I lost my little sandpaper cutting thing. So I'll just use scissors. We'll go with some 600 here. Let's get this thing wetted down here. All right, so we got our 600. Then I'm going to switch to the Zona papers. And I think Jen was talking about that. That's one way to go. You could just go all the way up with wet sanding. Chad Schimmel, he usually just kind of uses all the Zona papers and he's done. I've always found that for me, and this is the thing, like a lot of these things, it depends on what works best for you. Everybody, no matter how easy it's supposed to seem, the easiest technique, if you're just, for some reason you can't do it personally, there's probably another method that works better for you. And so I usually find that the buffing wheels, give me the best polish. on resin. So we'll go through 600, and then I'll do a couple grits of the Zona polishing papers, which is basically, it's kind of the same thing as wet dry sandpaper in a sense. They call them polishing papers. It's just got a really fine, close grit. I don't, you know, you can go kind of a couple different ways that way with grits and things. And then buffing wheels. Let's see, so what am I doing? I need to get me some Zona papers. Shoot, I'm like, am I out? Oh, there they are, okay. So I kind of pre-cut these guys. This is the green one, it's their lowest grit. Friends, weddings, and all that. Well, that's, see, you know, that's a good reason to be not so active on Instagram. That's cool. Can't fault you there if you're having some fun and doing some stuff. I'm not so, Melvin's asking about building waxes. I'm not sure what that is. Building waxes. So I don't think that I could probably comment on it. All right, so I'm going to stop this and just see what my progress is looking like up to now. Turn this fan on, fan off, because I don't need it. All right, so I'm going to turn my light on. Let's see what it's looking like here. Not too bad. Probably do a little bit more though. So let's do that. Still got some scratches in here. They look a little deeper than this green was. Oh, gilding pastes. Well, actually I might have tried some of that. Gilding. What do I have? I have something that's like that, but I don't really use. I mean, I wouldn't put it on resin stuff, but it was pretty cool. I tried it on wood, like gilt cream. Is that what you mean? Gilt cream? I've tried that, and it was pretty cool. Seemed to work pretty good. Start sanding, nice. Actually, I got something that I need to pull out of the pressure pot. It would be a sphere. I got a really cool sphere project that I'm thinking about. So I'm getting kind of close. It's not going to take maybe a few more months, but I'm kind of encroaching on 50,000 subscribers, which is awesome, crazy. But I'm thinking I might do. I've had this project idea in mind for a while. It's tough because I actually have a couple that are on my mind, but I have this one that I might kind of do that as kind of like a 50,000 subscriber celebration project that I've been wanting to do for a while, and then we'll do some giveaways and stuff. But that one of the projects is a sphere type thing. We'll just have to see what all goes down though. Tell you what, this thing's looking pretty wicked wet. I'm going to give you guys a kind of a view of this real quick with a little bit of water on it. Let's It's looking pretty cool. Ah, man, this tripod's killing me today. Look at that. Pretty sweet. There's a lot of colors going on here, guys. But look at that. I can't wait to see what this thing... He said there was glow powder somehow in here. In that, the turquoise or white or something. So not a lot of that lotus pod, like the real feel of it, you know, is coming out in this blank, but it is really cool looking. I think it would be even more... I think it'd be maybe a little bit cooler if this... We got a lot of colors going on that might have kind of detracted. I love this blank. I wouldn't change it, but... You know, maybe if you did like one color kind of thing, or maybe just, you know, filled in the little lotus pod holes with one and then cast it in something else that was a solid color, it might be a little bit more, you know, pop out in your face kind of thing. So just a couple like thoughts, you know, depends on what you're kind of going for type thing, but you know, there's a couple other ways that you could maybe make those lotus pods pop out at you a little bit more than this one is. But I'll tell you what, I think this is pretty sweet. I don't know, what do you guys think? Pretty cool looking. Can you see it? There you go. All right, Chris, have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. All right, so I think that we're getting close. We got let's do the gray. So I usually just do the green and then the gray. I got to turn this thing around. I got to zoom out out a little bit. So green and then gray, and I think I tried to kind of convert. They tell you like the micron level of this abrasive, and I think I want to say that the green is somewhere around 700 or something like that grit, kind of an equivalent of sandpaper grit, and the gray is somewhere maybe around like 1,000 to 2,000, 1,000, between 1,000 and 1,200, somewhere around there, 1,100. And so I just basically I go to, I think that you're pretty good if you can sand up to somewhere around, you know, between 1,000 and 1,500 grit, somewhere in that neighborhood, and then you switch to the buffing wheels, the triple E. Should take out, as long as those scratches are truly like 1,500 grit or, you know, 1,200, something like that. You should be good to go with the buffing wheels taking care of the rest of the action for you. Can be kind of elusive though. That's the problem with sanding is, you know, if you didn't truly get the, you know, 120, let's say you started at 120 or something like that. If you didn't truly get all of those scratches out, then you could continually, you know, move up through the grits. And again, if you're not doing it, you know, one way on one, you know, for one grit, like 120, you've done it spinning and then you stop and do it the other way. That's the only way to tell that you've fully removed all the previous grit scratches. Just doing what I'm doing here, it can be elusive, and you think it looks like you know, let's say you started with 120 and then now you're doing, you know, 180. It may look like all those scratches are 180, but the truth is that they're technically still, you know, 120 deep, and you're never going to really take that 120 depth out. And so you just keep going up through the grits, and then you get to the end and there's scratches everywhere. So you have to be careful, and this is another reason why, you know, you're much better off if you can get the surface really smooth. The higher you start sanding, the easier everything's going to be. You know, the smoother that surface is to start out with. So, you know, that's a good reason to, you know, try to get proficient with the tools as much as possible. Get that surface, spend a little extra time with the tools, and you'll probably be spending less time sanding and ending up with, you know, little scratch marks and things. Yeah, metals, I would imagine, yeah. And I don't know, if anybody's ever bought one of those headlight restoration kits, every single one of them, the instructions say to sand one way and then sand the other way. you know, and that's just, it just kind of makes sense that you're kind of cutting across the thing. It's easier for a table saw to cross cut a piece of wood than it is to rip it. It tends to kind of want to follow that grain, I guess, in a sense. So I don't know, a lot of these different kind of sort of similar, you know, theories and thoughts about things all kind of lead me to believe that that's probably the best way to go if you can, but I don't really want to mess with that. I think it'd be more trouble on this piece. You know, that's why it's really hard when you put a lot of shaping coves and nooks and crannies and all these different things going on with the blank. It makes it a lot more hard, more difficult to sand and polish if you haven't done a very good job. Like if I would have had to start sanding at 120, this would have taken hours, and it's already taken me a while. You know, you guys are watching, but even if I weren't talking, if you start really low, then and you're trying to do something like this, it's going to take longer to get it perfect. Yeah, bandsaws. Yeah. Bandsaws can make things difficult. I try to stay away from things that I use my bandsaw for quite a bit of stuff that is just a complete rough cut, but absolutely nothing that needs to be accurate. What I use my bandsaw for, because I don't set it up, you know, particularly well. It's good enough. Set the drift and, you know, sort of set the guides reasonably, but it's more for hacking things up than anything. My table saw does a great job too. So that's looking pretty darn good. I'm digging that. I don't even think I need to take a light out. I think this one's gonna polish up very nicely. Okay, so we're all done. We've got it up to, I don't know what grit level. I actually did a little bit with the blue Zona. I don't even know what this one is. I couldn't really convert it. It's something maybe like 2000, somewhere around there. 1800, I don't know. So we're somewhere in that neighborhood, let's just say. So it should mean that my buffing wheels are going to go fast. I should have no problem with this. Let me just walk down my plug for this thing kind of gets in the way. And actually, I'm going to kind of switch you guys around. Let's bring you guys over here. I think that this is a better view on this side for the Triple E wheel. And I've asked this before, if anybody has any experience with, you know, polishing with buffing wheels. I make, you know, some of the blanks that I sell have aluminum honeycomb in them, and for Alumilite clear blanks, I usually try to buff them, but that makes my wheel black when you're buffing metal. And so I don't know if, oh, actually, that's not going to work. That's rough. Tell you what, guys, I take it back. I know exactly what caused the problem. If I use this wheel, I'm pretty sure that's what caused the problem on that bowl, because it's like rough. It's kind of jacked up. Okay, so I don't know what the deal is with that. It ain't good though. Let's see here. I've got backup wheels, guys. That feels terrible. It's not even soft. It's scratchy. So we are going to go back over here. Could have been the problem. It really could have. Keep your buffing wheels clean, guys. That's the lesson for today. So I have this little system setup thing, an arbor, and this is just, I don't know. I actually think I used these wheels on that bowl. because I couldn't really get that bowl in on that thing. So I don't know what's going on, but this should work here. So this is a Triple E wheel. It's just a single mount. Beal also sells these, and I bought these a while ago because this lathe has a bigger, you know, reach swing, I guess. And for really big things, you know, I need a little bit more room. And it's nice because I don't have another wheel in the way. That's why I kind of bought this, but I never really used it in the past. So I'm gonna go get a mask. You don't really want to be sniffing, breathing the dust from these abrasives. You know, if some of this stuff comes off in the air, you don't really want it in your lungs. It's an abrasive, you know, the thing has abrasive particles. So I'm going to bring you guys actually over here. Oh, sorry, we're running into things. How about there? What do you think about that? So this is a brand new wheel. Feels better. No, I wouldn't want to talk. I don't know what's up with that. The way that you clean a wheel actually is you take, and this just has some Velcro, but you take some like 80 grit paper, turn your wheel on, and that's going backwards. Turn your wheel on and just, you know, rub it back and forth, and that's going to clean out that junk. So, and this is Abernet right here, like 80 grit. So you just take a low grit sandpaper and just run it, and you're basically going to take off a layer, and it'll clean. As you should be able to clean everything out of it. Might have been running it too fast. My only problem is this thing's not fully balanced, so I don't particularly love. It's kind of bouncy, you know. Can you guys see that? I like the 3-on thing on that mandrel because it runs like super smooth. This is a little bit off, and I'm sure there's probably some way that I can kind of fix it, but I don't love that about this. But it works okay. It'll work fine. Let's get you guys in the action here. In the action. Let's do it. Zoom. Let me put this thing down. Get you guys right in the action. I'm going to have to scoot back a little bit here. Look at that. In the action, guys. See how it's kind of bouncing me around, vibrating? It would be better if this wheel was running true. So I'm going to take this thing off of the mandrel here. So I can get into this little area. So let me stop real quick. I don't know if anybody answered, if you guys have any buff a screwdriver. Bad buffing wheel. Yeah. So did anybody answer about the black, you know, when they turn black? All right, Ray, have a good one. Probably missed you, but hey, I just saw. So Anne's asking about sanding in reverse. It's just easy. It was just easier for me to get to. It's not better. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's just easier to access on the top versus the bottom of the blank. Yeah, well, okay, so in Klondike's, you know, that there is something to be said about just sanding wood. You know, people that are just, if it's just like a wooden bowl, taking resin out of the equation, then yeah, the grain of the wood, you know, going in the opposite direction, rather than, you know, the grain is going to be kind of like bristles of like something. And so if you're sanding one way and you've laid them down, then you just keep sanding like over these little particles of wood. And when you reverse it, you basically knock them off. It cuts them, you know, hopefully that kind of made sense. On resin, there isn't any grain, so that doesn't really, I'm not aware of that being a thing necessarily with resin, because there really isn't any grain to it that I'm aware of. It is going to be slightly different maybe, but I don't think that you can claim that it's doing anything with, you know, grain and the same idea of things like kind of laying down one way. All right, I'm going to take a peek at this thing under the light, and it's looking pretty good. Still a few areas, I think, though. Man, come on, work with me here. Just going to kind of polish up the bottom of that thing, but I think there was a couple areas. In here. All right, I think we're good with the triple E wheel. I think I have a white diamond wheel. Well, actually, the white diamond on the Beal system, whoa, will work fine. It's not gunked up. So let's go back to the Beal. Going back to the Beal. Got a little light on over there. Everything's going to be going good, I hope. Definitely will have to fix that triple E wheel, though. All right. And then the final step, I'm still digging the car polish. I just think it gives you a tiny bit more glossy pop. Hashtag glossy pop. So it's been working pretty good. And I finally bought one of the Beal brand string buffs. I wanted that originally, but they were not selling stuff. It was like right after the lockdowns and all that kind of stuff. And so I ended up buying something from McMaster Car, and it's been working fine, but I wanted to get the Beal one because as long as that one's good, I'd probably recommend it. It's a slightly larger diameter, and after I've gotten it now, it's a much nicer product. A little bit more expensive, I think, than the McMaster Car was, but definitely a nice wheel. So we got the white diamond done. Let's go back over to the lathe now. Spin you guys back around here. And I guess we'll put you right here. And there. Make sure that's on the screen. All right, now I'm going to take this part off here. I'm going to find myself the right Allen wrench first. Or at least one that's close enough. Okay, so I'm going to take that off. That was a Beal product thing. Oh, actually, that's what I want. Beal. The other one, I have a slightly different mandrel that I use. I don't need to use that anymore. So we'll go back to, so here's the Beal string buff. Slightly larger diameter than the one that I was using. And there was nothing really wrong with this one, but this one is a little bit nicer. It's softer, so kind of prefer using it, and I can just use this normal mandrel system, and we're good to go. So I like trying different products as much as often as whenever I can, because a lot of times one product works better than another. I'm going to turn this off because that's loud and annoying. Dinner's ready. I'm just kidding. All right, so now I finally did buy the Meguiar's 205 Ultra Finishing polish. And so this one's a little bit, this is like the final thing. Like it's super, super high, like polish level. I was using the 105, but it's got a little bit more bite. Like it can, it's got a little bit more abrasive in it, I think. So I've been kind of playing with it. I'm not 100% sure which one I like better. The 105 worked fine. I was happy with that, but I think this is more of a take the kind of swirl marks out of paint type stuff. One thing that I do like is it doesn't, this 105, you're going to laugh, but this 105, it like clogs up the thing, like it's thicker. And so you always constantly, every time you open it, you got to clean out the stupid thing. This stuff doesn't. And so what I'm thinking is that for anybody that's familiar with Novus plastic polish, this stuff works reasonable as well. And I think it's pretty similar to these car polishes. And it's made for, acrylic. It says prepares acrylic surfaces for polishing, but they have a heavy scratch remover, and then they have like a fine scratch remover, and I think it's kind of the same idea. The 105 is kind of a heavy scratch remover. This is a fine scratch remover. So now that I've said all that, the way that I do this is I actually apply the polish. And I don't know if there's a better way to do this or what. I don't really like the idea of applying a bunch of polish to the wheel. I don't think that's the right way to do it. So I'll apply some on a paper towel here. And what I'm going to do is, actually I'm going to put it back on the mandrel. That way I don't have to hold the blank at all. So I'm going to put this back on here. You could use just a 3/8/16 bolt as well, if you didn't have this mandrel. And then I'm going to apply it directly to the to the piece here. Okay. Drop my glasses down. This thing makes a little bit of noise, but it's fine. And then first I'm going to get this going on the end. Slow it down a little bit. It's a little bit fuzzy right now because it's brand new. So you got some little fuzzes flying at me. Getting in my nose. I'm gonna have to go a little faster with this. I don't know. I can't tell what's going on here. This wheel's a little bit softer than the other one that I was using. But I think, yeah, it's working. It's fine. Do have a few scratches here and there that I missed. Looks like. Not too bad though. Bumpy surfaces like this are kind of hard. What I'm actually going to do is I want to try the 105 real quick, and oh my god, and I'm going to use the other wheel that the one that I was using with the 105, which uses a different mandrel. This one's a little bit harder, kind of, I would say, material, stiffer feeling. So let's just give this a shot and see what happens here. I just want to kind of take a look at this. All right, Jen, thanks for coming out. The Glossinator. I don't know about that. I try. My biggest problem is I get frustrated when you know, if you spend hours on something and it still has scratches in it, I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. What am I doing wrong? I'm done. So that's why I kind of complain. Like in a perfect world, I want something that, like, every single time that I do this method, I know it'll work. And it's tough to find that. I haven't necessarily. You have to be disciplined. You have to be very disciplined to get, you know, every single time perfect results. All right, so we're going to try the 105 this time, and just because, again, this will take out a few more scratches if there are any. Technically, I would think that the white diamond should be about the same, at least for scratch removal, but let's just try this and see what happens. I didn't see a whole lot of pop after that last step, I guess. It's kind of my thing. Yeah, see that I might actually go back to the 105 because that seems slightly better. The only problem is with this stuff, it dries and then it kind of doesn't want to come off. So you got to kind of keep applying a little bit more. And you kind of need to get the wheel charged a little bit. And it tends to work a little bit better, I've found. Once the wheel kind of has a little bit of, and it might actually help to just kind of wet the wheel a little bit. Possibly, I don't know. Again, this is in the realm of like car polishing, and I don't really necessarily know everything there is to know about car polishing. Come on, work for me here. There we go. When it works, it looks good. I'm just gonna have to keep adding a little bit more. There we go, there's some. All right, now this thing's looking glossy. That's what I'm talking about. All right. I'm gonna go get my little fuzzy towel. Now I'm happy. It took a while. Sorry about that, guys. Now I'm happy with this thing. So let me wipe this thing off and microfiber. I was going to call this a micro mesh towel. That's not right. It's microfiber. So let me get this off the mandrel here. And there we go. Let me turn this light off. That's not helping anything. Look at that. Woo! Pretty glossy. There's a couple little minor scratches here and there that I can see, but I mean overall it's pretty good. Let me get this camera. I can't see what's going on. The camera's at an odd angle and I can't see the viewfinder. So let me scoot this a little bit further back here. Drop this down. Now I can actually see the screen. It's kind of wiggling. So let's get our little, let's just go with the normal one for the bottle opener thingy. Get on camera here. So I was thinking like, you know, let's see, how does this work? Yeah. So like, yeah, it's pretty nice. I like the little grippy things. And you can kind of, I don't have anything that needs to be opened. I don't have any beers in the shop. But you know, I mean, it's kind of nice. Contoured, smooth, elegant. The nice thing about these, so with the stainless bottle stoppers, or you know, this brand of opener, these ones are nice because they can kind of just sit on a desk. You can't do that with the other ones. The magnetic, you know, the ones that don't dent the tops. They won't stand up like that, so you'll have to lay them down. But this one is it won't mar the top and bend your cap, basically. So we'll switch it out real quick here. Oh, I just dropped it on the ground. That was awesome. Nothing like dropping your project at the end. Seriously, guys, I need to just give up. Too many things going on. So there we go. So that's pretty cool too. Like I said, these ones don't bend your cap. So it's good if you want to save the cap and not, I don't know. If you wanted to use bottle caps for like pen blanks, that would be a good idea. But if you're going to try and display it and leave it out, this one's a little bit more inconvenient, especially if you got something round on the end. It'll just kind of roll around on your desk. Whereas, the original one, as long as you're just trying to crack open something and don't care what it does to the bottle cap, then this one's the way to go, I think. So not too bad. Let's see, how much damage did I do dropping it on the concrete? Nah, I can't actually see anything. Not bad. One of the nice things about stoppers and things like that, like if I come back and like I'm looking at this and I'm kind of seeing a few scratches here and there. I don't know. I didn't, like I said, pull out the magnifying lenses and look that hard. But the beauty of this is all I have to do is stick it back on the mandrel and continue sanding. Or I put a ding in it. Okay, well, I just, chuck it back up and continue sanding it out. So it makes it kind of nice, for pens, if you assemble the whole thing, you got to disassemble the entire pen just to put it on the lathe again and sand it out. But stoppers and openers and handles and things like this, much easier to fix something if you did do something stupid like I just did, drop it on the ground. So Chad, thanks for the super chat, buddy. I appreciate it, man. Oh yeah, the non-marring might match the curves. I wasn't even really looking at the form factor of it all. Let me look at that. Yeah, so yeah, I would agree with that. That does kind of look a little bit better, but I like in my head, I personally kind of like these a little bit better, just because I kind of have the tendency, like, I don't know, I probably wouldn't just toss this in a drawer kind of thing. Like, I would want it to kind of stand up in my head. That's kind of what I would, my initial thought. But it looks pretty good, but like I said, I think that I saw a few scratches here and there. Yeah, there's a few scratches. Like I said, guys, I mean, you can spend hours sanding and then still look at it at the end and be like, oh, there's scratches in it still. So don't feel bad, I guess, is what I'm saying. Sometimes this stuff, it really helps to take your time when you're sanding. I think that's one of the problems here is I almost give it a kind of a bad representation because I'm just trying to get through it and be like, oh, this is what we made. But if you take your time, stop in between grits, and I would actually even recommend, it's not a bad idea to get the magnifying lenses. The things that I was using for making the rings. Get yourself a set of these magnifying lenses. Get a really good raking light coming, whatever angle you need it to be. Try a couple different angles, but usually you want that light beam to be coming low, and so you almost want kind of a spotlight basically, but have the light kind of coming in low and bouncing off, and so you can see where scratches are. But actually use these, and really if it's a project that you want to be done and be like there's no scratches in this, pull out some magnifying lenses, get that raking light, take your time in between each step of grits, and you'll get good results in the end. If you're trying to kind of wing it like I was just doing and hurry through, and I'm not really turning the light on the whole time and looking at every angle, You know, then at the end you're like, oh yeah, here's a scratch here, you know, here and there, there's a couple scratches. I probably should have, you know, continued working with the like 600 grit or whatever. So anyway, I hope that kind of helps you guys out. I hope you guys enjoyed this. There will be, I'll probably put this guy up on my website. There's only one other one of them, but it's the pink one. So be looking for that. I'll probably add it to my website. I just added, I've shown you guys that blank that has black resin. Actually, I have a link to it. Let me go to my website. I don't have a picture of it, and I don't have the blank with me. It's at home. But it was that black with all three of the colors of interference powders. That one's available. It's like a turning block, like a 1 3/4 by 6 square block. That one's available. Big thank you to Chad and Dave for super chatting it up. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. Don't forget to go check out the big bowl the pedestal bowl that I just turned in the video that I made. That's up. And so I will be back in action. We'll do a little casting. What I was thinking on Friday, I've got all kinds of things going on over here, but I think we still got a bunch of stuff from Steven. Which we have a couple of these more Lotus pods. We never even broke into the pine cones yet that he sent. And we got shark vertebrae. So I think we'll just dig in and finish up these guys on Friday for our Dunkin' Junk edition of the live stream. But we'll be doing that at 3 p.m. Pacific time this Friday. I hope you guys all have a wonderful night. Thank you guys for coming out and joining the fun. I'll probably post some pics in a vid of this when I'm finished up. I might give it another second or two. I don't know. I got other work. I got to get some other stuff done. So we'll have to see if I put any more effort into this or just try and get the best side of it for Instagram. But I'll be posting that, so hopefully you can kind of see, you know, closer pictures if you didn't get a good look at it up here. And yeah, so I will see you guys all on Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, and we'll do a little resin casting. So I hope you have a great night, and thanks for joining the fun. Jamie Page, he came in literally. I was going to sign off and super chatted. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. What are you up to? I'm going to, you know, for a super chat, I'm going to stop. We're going to stop, Jamie, and I'm going to get a drink, and I'm going to listen to what's up with you, man. What are you up to? Oh, and actually, I didn't see that, Ann. I got my buffing wheels from Beal. And I have links on my website where you can get those. Let's see, on the tools I use page. So it's so depending on what types of projects you're going to do, I think for most things, unless you're doing really big projects, the Beal 3-on buffing system, that's what I was using at first. I've modified it. I took off the wax wheel because I don't use that one for anything. I just use the Tripoli and the white diamond, but those work well. I think that compared to a lot of the buffing systems out there, the Beal ones are the nicest wheels for the most part. The Rouges are all the same. You can buy white diamond or Tripoli and it's all the same no matter where you buy it. But it is kind of nice having the two wheels on one mandrel. And they're 8-inch wheels. So it's just, they seem to be pretty high quality. But there are other systems that are maybe a little bit cheaper. I think Chad might have a mandrel system thing for like pens, like they're pretty small wheels. But I'm really happy with the Beal brand stuff. I need to give that string buff a little bit of, some paces. I'm not sure that I like it or not, but you're all good recording. I know you've been recording a ton of videos. I haven't had time to watch everybody's videos. You've been posting them all the time. Like, what are you, 2 a week? Jeez. Getting a new roof on? Sweet. This should be good. Who's got an auction? Dan's got an auction? Let me just see if bounce test was good, Dominic. Thanks. I actually don't think it did anything. I heard it, but maybe it like bounced on I don't see where it actually hit. There's no scuff. It might have bounced, like it could have bounced literally on this end, which if it did that, then I probably wouldn't see anything. Yeah, the nice thing about Alumilite is it's not going to break. It might scuff it up though if you do that. So, did I put a link to the, let's see, product? No. Yeah, tools I use. Yeah, so the Beal buffing system, I have a link to that. And I don't know if Anne's still here or not, but anyway, getting it done. That's cool. Well, all right. Well, thank you for sliding in at the last second with a super chat, man. I appreciate it. That was cool. So I am going to get out of here. I got to go cut some blanks. I got to pour some blanks, and I got to take some blanks out of the pressure pot. That's what was beeping in the middle of the thing. But but Jamie, this is what we did. Made a little bottle opener guy. You can crack your beers open or your grape soda, whichever one you want. So it turned out pretty cool. It has a little lotus pod thing in that somebody sent in, Stephen Daniels sent in, kind of in the middle. There's a lot of things going on this blank, so it's kind of hard to see the lotus pod itself to isolate that, but pretty neat looking. So turned it up. I'm not super happy with the polish. There's a few areas that, there's a few scratches here and there that I didn't notice, but I'll go back and fix that. We're looking pretty good though. So yeah. In honor of us, that's sweet. Thanks, man. I'll check it out. Cool. All right, guys, I'm going to head out. I'm going to get some work done. I hope you guys have a great rest of the evening. And I will see you guys, like I said, on Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time for a little bit of resin casting. Thanks for joining the fun tonight.